Welcome back to Look News. Here's a simple question. Do you believe in ghosts? For two local women, the answer is a simple yes. They've made it their life mission to reach out to those spirits left haunting our area. Joining me to share more on that and an upcoming ghost tour in Thurman is Adirondack Spectral Investigations, Sally File and Cheryl Kenyon. Welcome to Look News, ladies. We appreciate you stopping by. Let's talk a little bit about the Thurman ghost tours that are coming up, and we also have something else we want to share about this interview that we're pre-recording. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, tell me about Adirondack Spectral Investigations, what you're all about.
Well, it's an organization I started in 2011, and it's to help people that are having trouble or just want information, you know, if they live in a historical house. We never charge. It's always free of charge. And that's basically it. I mean, we go into the houses, we go to cemeteries, we go all over, and it's just to go in and talk to the spirits that are left behind, find out if there's a reason why, and to help the people rid them.
Now, you've been doing this for a while, Sally. How did you get into this?
Always been drawn to it my whole life. I've been doing the investigations for over 25 years. I tend to specialize more in EVP, where I can draw out the spirit voices, which is electronic voice phenomenon, the EVP. And so I draw them out and communicate that way.
Cheryl, this is not something new to you, but the act of actually being able to communicate with these spirits is pretty new to you.
It is, it is. Sally opened it up to me a lot more, where I can hear them, see them, feel them. And she really ended up giving me something that I knew I had it way back when I was little, because I felt somebody's watching me constantly, and I keep doing this all the time, and somebody was always right there.
And who was it that was around you? I guess you figured that out later on, but...
Later on I did. It was my father-in-law and my grandmother always around me. But earlier in the years, it was the house, because we lived in Lake George. So there, you had a lot of activity coming up through Lake George.
And what was that experience like once you were able to communicate with your ancestors?
It really, like, whoa, cool!
So they had something good to say.
They did, they did. They always let me know they're right there. And they let me know that the rest of my family that's passed on is safe and fine and they're happy.
You know, when you go into one of these things, how do you go about it? What's the process of going into one of these homes and setting up for an investigation? Well,
we interview the person and find out any activity, or anything, any hot spots, anything. We go in, we set up tons of audio, video. I leave cameras all over the place. We always have mobile cameras with us. And then basically we just start walking around, go with our feelings, try to sense things, and start asking questions like, are there any spirits here? How many? What are your names? See if we can, we've even got years. They'll say, what year is it for you right now? We always introduce ourselves, and we've even had back on our audio playbacks where they actually call us by name once we do that.
And if it's an older house, we check into the background of the house to see how long, like 1869, who lived there, what was going on there. We just did one house, it was an old post office.
So probably a lot of activity in an old post office.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, and actually the woman that used to run the post office, she was very famous for steaming people's mail open.
Okay.
And she had a hutch that she always kept a butter bowl in with the mail, and that hutch is in a house across the street from the original house. Okay. So I said, you need to kind of get the two back together.
Oh, connect the two back together. Cheryl, you were telling me sometimes these ghosts are a little shy.
They are.
You got to get them a little riled up.
I have to do some yelling at them.
Boy, does she yell.
Sometimes not so kind yelling that we can't
Not
use
so
on
kind.
TV.
Those four-letter words you're not allowed to say.
But I hear them nice and plainly when I'm listening back, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh.
All of a sudden, just mixed in with the ghostly sounds
yes.
is some expletives. We have some pictures of some of your previous investigations. Let's show our first one. This is from the Chapman Museum in Glens Falls. Tell me what we're looking at here.
Oh, this was a second-story window, and in this room, this was actually taken when I had my other organization, but it's my photo. We had a lot of activity in there. We had a woman's voice, we had a child's voice, we had a ball move on its own, and actually went around the room and came back and landed right in front of me. And when we left, we were taking pictures, and I looked up into this window, and they were looking back at me, so I started snapping pictures. If you look to the right, you can see the lady, you can kind of see the hat, you know,
Yeah.
on her. And then down in the left one, the little girl with almost like a bow and a dress.
Yeah, it looks
so-
like a little black dress, which would be fitting for the time that
Yeah.
that those people, the period those people would have been
Right.
from. I was a little skeptical when I looked at that picture. I thought, oh, you know, maybe it's the trees, the
Yep.
sunlight, the time of the day. We have a second picture. Now, this one really, it's hard to see on our air, and that's why we got the web address there. So go check this out at the website. In the middle of the screen, there's a face, and that face, when you look at that picture on your website, is as clear as day.
And this one, I believe, is the Lake Luzerne, or the Hadley Museum. We had not been in the museum yet. We were walking around, and I looked up and saw this man looking back at me, and I snapped a picture. And when we showed the evidence to the museum director, she actually knew who he was, and that he had actually lived in the house at one point. So.
Now, you were both telling me that your Native American heritage really makes you connected to the spirit world. Why is the connection stronger for Native Americans?
They really bring the spirit world into them, and actually, in my Mohawk heritage, I'm considered what's called a spirit walker, which means I live between both worlds, and for me, it allows me to connect even more to the spirits, and you can feel them around you, and you know, we see things. Sometimes we'll both see them. Sometimes, you know, she'll say, "I just saw this," you know. So we can see things, sense things, and actually are starting to hear the voices without the equipment now.
What does that sensation feel like? I've never had an encounter with a spirit, but what does that sensation feel like when you actually have that connection with somebody and you can feel them, or you can hear them, or you can make that connection?
Well, for me, it's like an electrical charge from the toes all the way up, and the stronger it gets, the more, I'll just say, to snap pictures, they're getting closer. And I get them to the point where they're so close that I have to actually tell them to back off, and it's just something you can't describe, you know. And I've had them actually go through me where you feel like it's a block of ice going through.
I saw your face warm up when I asked that question.
She's had him poked at her, tripped her, and
Yeah.
pushed her down.
You said it sometimes makes you look like a bit of a klutz.
Yeah,
It does.
yeah. She always has the camera aimed right at the right time too. So.
You know, I could talk with you guys about this forever. Let's briefly talk about the Historic Haunts of Thurman, the event that's coming up next month. What's on tap for that?
Okay, well, there's two tours, a morning one and an afternoon one. The morning one starts at 10. It meets at the Athol Town Hall. It's a caravan style, so you stay in your own car and just follow a lead car to the 4 different locations. Everyone will be given a CD, and you play that in between locations, and you'll get the history. Then when we get there, we'll talk about why we were brought in, what we experienced, and what evidence we captured. And then at noon, everybody meets back, and then we'll have a presentation and actually show evidence and have a light lunch. And then the second tour leaves at 2 and follows the caravan and does the same thing.
And we'll post all those details on our website. We know that there are some special ticket offers. We'll post all that information on our website. Briefly, I just want to get to this because this is our second time recording this segment. Our machine that we recorded this on that has never malfunctioned like this before, not only malfunctioned, lost the first record, deleted a bunch of information. Cheryl, you were telling me that this is not a surprise to you.
No, it wasn't. I saw an orb go through and through the door
While we were taping the first
while
time.
we were taping the first one.
And what did you know, obviously I didn't see it, so what did that look like? Could you describe to us what
It's
that looked
just like a little small round ball like these dots here on the table.
like? Okay. And just came through and
It
messed
just
with our
went
machine.
right straight through, like, here I come.
It's just like an orb is an actual ball of energy.
Okay.
And the spirits, that's how they start to form. And yeah, she said this one went whoop, right into it.
All right, Cheryl, if you can go back there and get it.
Take it home with me.
If you could take we don't want it, you know, unless it's a friendly orb, but considering what it did to the machine.
They love electronics, I'll tell you. They love electronics.
Wow, welcome to Look TV.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies, for stopping by. Sally
Thank
Fowle,
you.
Cheryl Kenyon from Adirondack Spectral Investigations. We
Thank you for
appreciate
having us.
Second time the charm.
Yes.
Now, to get more details on the historical haunts of Thurman, Adirondack Spectral Investigations, and see our conversation for a second time, head to the website. It's looktvonline.com. And stay with us. We'll be right back.